previous video, I developed the concept of how do we count atoms. We count them in these big bunches called a mole, and again, 1 mole equals 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. That's just a name for this number, and that is the quantity. So a mole really is a quantity when we count atoms. So we counted copper atoms on the last time. Now I want to count a compound. I have just ordinary table salt in here, and I weighed it out. I have 12.7 grams of salt. Well, salt, table salt, is sodium chloride. So I have 12.7 grams of sodium chloride, and I want to find out how many compounds are there in that 12.7 grams. In order to do that, I find out the mass of a mole of sodium and chloride, because those are the two things that make up that compound. So I come to my periodic table, and I find sodium has a mass of 22.99 grams per mole, and a mole of chloride has a mass of 35.45 grams per mole. So what is a mole of sodium chloride? A mole of sodium chloride has a mole of sodium ions and a mole of chloride ions. So I say Na. I need to take the two elements that make up this compound, add them up. I've got sodium at 22.99 grams per mole, chloride 35.45 grams per mole, and add them up. And you get 58.44 grams per mole. That number, since that is the mass of 1 mole of sodium chloride, that's called the molar mass of sodium chloride. So now I have my reference point. So here is my ratio. 1 mole sodium chloride. This is my reference point. If I have a mole of sodium chloride, the mass will be 58.44 grams. Well, I have something less than that, right? I have about 12.7 grams. How many moles? And I set up my proportion again. I say 1 mole is to 58.44. A mole of sodium chloride has a mass of 58.44 grams. There are X mole in 12.7 grams. This is my proportion, and I solve the proportion. And I've counted the sodium chloride in that sample. It's 0.217 mole. Let's do another example. I have 345 grams of magnesium bromide. And I want to count how many of those compounds do I have in that sample. So let's see, magnesium bromide. Magnesium is a 2+ ion. Bromide is single minus. So magnesium bromide has the formula MgBr2. We need a reference point. So I have a certain mass. I need to use that mass. I need to convert it into moles. And so I need to find out how much 1 mole of magnesium bromide compound would have. I check my periodic table. I find magnesium has a mass of 24.3. And I look at bromine is 79.9 grams per mole. But I have 2 bromines in this compound. So therefore I need to double that. So in this compound there's 1 magnesium, there's 2 bromines, each with a molar mass of 79.9. And I add that all together. So I combine this, I double 79.9, and I get this compound. 1 mole of magnesium bromide has a mass of 184.1 grams. That's the molar mass of magnesium bromide. So I now have, of course, a bigger chunk of magnesium bromide. I have 345 grams. I can see that I have more than 1 mole by the mass, because the mass is bigger. And that is X mole. how many moles. So we'll find that out. We'll set up our proportion. 1 mole, 184.1 grams, X mole, and 345 grams. We solve our proportion and we find that X equals 1.87 moles. So again, for compounds, we simply add up the molar mass of each of the elements and how many of that element there are. That gives us the molar mass. That gives our reference that we can now convert grams into moles. Sometimes we want to find a certain quantity of the substance. Let's say I want 0.250 moles of calcium nitrate. So this is how much. I want to do a lab, and for my lab I need this kind of quantity of calcium nitrate, and I want to know, well, I got to go to the scale and mass this out. How much mass would that be? So calcium nitrate, I've got calcium at 2+. Nitrate is NO3 single minus. I'm going to need 2 of these. There's my formula for calcium nitrate. Let's just, to review, of course, what does this compound look like? I would have for every calcium, I have 2 nitrates. Nitrates are these polyatomics. There's 1 nitrate. Another nitrate would have this. There's calcium nitrate. Each compound, each formula has that. So what I have to do is, I got to find the mass of 1 mole of this calcium nitrate. I've got to find the molar mass of each of those atoms, add it all together, and find the molar mass. Then I can use that to find the quantity. Well, let's see. In this formula, I have 1 calcium. The periodic table says that is 40.08 grams per mole. I have NO3. I have 2 nitrogens. 14.01 twice. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 oxygens. 16.0 times 6. And we're going to total that all up. We get 164.10 grams per mole. There's the molar mass. So I know 1 mole has this mass. I've got 0.250 moles. Let's see how much I need to weigh out. So 1 mole Ca calcium nitrate has a mass of 164.10 grams. If I have 0.250 mole, I'm going to have X grams. Cross multiply, divide, I get X equals 41.0. So if I want 0.250 moles of calcium nitrate, I would need to go to my scale and weigh out 41.0 grams. I'm going to put some problems on the board and I want you to try and work them out, and I will then write the solutions. So write this question down, solve these part A and B, see if you can get these answers, and pause your video, and then I will show the solution to this problem. We'll do this and then we'll do one more. Aluminum sulfide has the formula Al2S3, of course, because aluminum is 3+ ion, sulfide 2-. So I total up all of the elements in that compound, and I find 1 mole of aluminum sulfide has a mass of 150.17. I do my ratio, so 30.5 grams of the substance, there would be 0.203 moles. Now the second part, part B, said that if I have, how many sulfide ions are in that actual substance? Well, in each compound, there are 3 sulfide ions. So if I have 0.203 moles of aluminum sulfide, and I break all that apart, what I will gather up in that is I will gather up 3 times that number, or 0.609 moles of sulfide ions to get there, to have that, to make 0.203 moles of aluminum sulfide. Okay, let's do one more problem. Let's find out, I want to weigh out 0.0275 moles of ammonium sulfate. And then I want to find out what mass should I weigh out. Check and see that you get this answer, and I'll show the solution. So we find the formula, since ammonium is NH4+. Here's our formula for ammonium sulfate. Total of all of the atoms that are in that compound. And I find that 1 mole of ammonium sulfate has a molar mass of 132.17 grams. I do my ratio comparison and solve for X and find that there are 3.63 grams. That would be the mass of 0.0275 moles of ammonium.